going to my mind's going blank now. What's happening? What, I can't remember. I'm gonna lose track. My mind's going blank now. What are you talking about? What the hell's going on here? Where the hell are we? My mind's going blank now. I can't remember. I don't know what the hell he's talking about. What am I doing here? My mind's going blank now. Where am I headed? I keep forgetting I'm president. Where am I? No idea. Last night on the television, I was on a telephone, rapidly rising,
rapidly rising.
COVID has taken more than 100 years. Look, here's lives reflected in the NHEI. America is a nation that can be defined in a single word. I was inflicting we're going to seize the ill-begotten gains of Putin's kleptocracy. Yeah. NATO's purpose is to defend against aggression. Let me make that near and dear to you that you like to be able to. Anyway.
Oh, damn it. Whatever.
My mind's going blank now. What's happening? What, I can't remember. I'm gonna lose track. My mind's going blank now. What are you talking about? What the hell's going on here? Where the hell are we? My mind's going blank now. I can't remember. I don't know what the hell he's talking about. What am I doing here? My mind's going blank now. Where am I headed? I keep forgetting I'm president. Where am I? No idea.
It's time to thank Dr. John. Dr. John.
The idea that the political coverage of
the coverage has been unfair.
Recognize Dr. John King.
There it is, Dr. John. King of song. Oh, bring it home.
My mind's going blank now.
His mind's going blank now. Always been blank.
I can't remember. I don't know what the hell he's talking about. What am I doing here? My mind's going blank now. Where am I headed? I keep forgetting I'm president. Where am I? No idea.
Welcome back once again. This is Chris Report, and he assured me that since Simonstown and Boulders. Folks, this is Chris Wyatt reporting from South Africa. I don't know who Joe's kidding. His mind went blank a long time ago. Welcome back to the program, folks. How you doing there? Welcome back. It is Wednesday. It's hump day. Yeah, and that has no sexual connotation for those of you with dirty minds out there. It's hump day, middle of the week. That's right, like a humpback whale. We are on Wednesday, middle of the week, August 28th, 2024. Big weekend here in the United States. Labor Day weekend. We don't celebrate it with those communists and socialists on May Day. That's not when we celebrate labor. We celebrate labor and not childbirth. Labor on, well, in the first week of September. So Monday is Labor Day. It's a massive, usually 3 or 4 day weekend for most people around the country and for the military and folks around the world. So looking forward to that big weekend, big rugby weekend. We've got the Springboks in Joburg at Ellis Park hosting the All Blacks. And Ebenezer is back for the contest. Looking forward to that. Folks, I just published a video. For those of you who tuned in for this, you probably missed it. It took a long time to upload. PooTube is acting kind of strange today. It took a very long time to upload this video. It shouldn't have taken nearly as long as it did. I did a video about Gabriel Crouse and an op-ed that he has done on Roman Cabanac's appointment to the Department of Agriculture in South Africa under John Steenhuisen. And so it's, you can take a look at it. I reference Roman, I reference Gabriel Crouse, I also reference Byron Shepard from Morning Shot, and Robert Doigan, aka Marabani, as well. So thanks, guys. It's up now. It'll take you a little while to watch it, but thank you. Please watch it after this if you're watching this broadcast right now. I don't want to chase somebody off from this. Bloomberg reports that protests in China are on the rise, the effect of slowing economy. Opinion? I know I've talked about this breathlessly, endlessly for years. China is a Potemkin village. It is an ecological disaster zone with a thin belt of economic growth that is a consequence of intellectual property theft, copyright infringement, trademark violations, and protectionism, as well as collusion by corporate elites in U.S., Europe, Japan, South Africa to sell our productivity off to the Chinese enslavers. China is a disaster waiting to implode. It's as simple as that. There's no free speech. There's no genuine entrepreneurship or ingenuity. There is no creativity of any sort in China. There is oppression of the Uyghurs. There are harvesting of their organs. There is the enslavement of the Uyghurs. There is the illegal occupation. You know, where is the ANC on the occupation of Tibet? Tibet was illegally invaded and occupied and conquered by the Chinese communists. It doesn't belong to China. It's Tibet. And the true, genuine leader of Tibet is the Dalai Lama, not the Chinese Communist Party. But the ANC is silent on that occupation. The United Nations is silent on Tibet, but they are all in on Gaza, which Israel won through conquest after being attacked by the Arabs. Now, the Tibetans never attacked China. They were invaded. So there you go. There's a little bit of my thoughts on it. I've been talking about China's a total disaster. 50 miles inland, there's nothing. There's nothing of note. Everything is on the coastline. And it is a country where over 700 million people have risen from abject poverty to the middle class and have expectations of big cars and satellite television and mobile phones and tablets. And they've been able to satisfy that to some degree, but only so much. You see, those things are expensive and it requires ever higher wages. And as I predicted 20 years ago, China's wage bill will become so big that the country cannot sustain itself. And there you are. That's what I've said. Yeah, can't come in and tell the news days after it's been reported, man. I reported that yesterday. 200 former Republican presidential staffers signed it. Though that's an incomplete statement. These are Bush, McCain, and Romney staffers. All three Republicans in name only. They're not Republicans. They're frauds. George Bush, John McCain, and Mitt Romney are all frauds. They're not Republicans. That's what the media is telling you. This is lies. The real Republicans will never tell you that those are Republicans. Exactly. Right. Anyway, so that video is up on Gabriel Crouse's op-ed. So my word on Ronaldo died. I mean, I can't find a single media outlet in South Africa that's covered the story that the press council's has vindicated Ronaldo Crouse. Not a single story. It's not in News 24. It's not on IOL. It's not in City Press. It's not in Daily Maverick. It's not in the Mail and Guardian. It's not on any of them that I can find. I didn't look at Rapport, but I didn't see it anywhere. I'm the only person who's reported on that release of information by the press council yesterday. Yet I only have 8,800 views in that video. Now, if you ever question about whether this channel is hidden from South African viewers, there's your answer. Because this is a story that when it does break on IOL or the News 24 or, Big Daddy or somebody like that in South Africa does a video on it, there'll be hundreds of thousands of views. 8,800. What a crock manure. What a crock. Either that's a lying statistic, it's not really 8,000, it's 80,000, or the video is suppressed. Simple as that. I mean, honestly, people want to talk about race and racism all the time. And, I know how this goes because I do a video on Julius Malema running his mouth a couple years ago, and it's 150,000 views. Whether there's any value to the content or not, it didn't matter. Just saying Julius Malema and racism got you 100,000 views. And yes, I know there are a lot fewer people on YouTube, but people still have millions of subscribers. Is where they at. George Steinberg, welcome to you from Heckport. Dylan Combrick is in. Chantel Boyson, Val Cooper, Allison Johnson. By the way, let me apologize for the late start. I was here on time, but my software is acting all wonky here. I mean, when I was playing that music, I was trying to adjust where my window is. I couldn't even move it around. Let me see if I can move it around now. I had no control. Whoops. Look, that's that camera. Okay, that's there. Let me try to adjust the other camera. So I try to adjust it. It's the same camera, but a different window. So now it lets me do it. Look at that. Now I can move that thing around. Am I giving you vertigo there? Sorry. Yeah, I couldn't adjust that during the song. It's as if someone is tapped into my feed. All kinds of weird things going on. I had to wait. I had to reload this software. It crashed, and then I had to redo everything. So just very frustrating. Anyway, but thanks for being here, folks. Appreciate it. Cabello Quacha says, you love the DA. No, I don't. Where do you get that from? Where do you get that from? You ask John Steenhuisen if I love the DA. Ask if John Steenhuisen has anything nice to say about me. See, where do people draw those conclusions? I mean, Cabello, is that a statement or was it just a rhetorical question? Where would you draw the conclusion I like the DA? The only thing you possibly say is that I have an affinity or like possibly for the Freedom Front Plus and or the ACDP. That might be the extent of it. But even there, that's not true. Valerie says, Biki Frog Frey Stream. What the hell? Something with the stream. Something's a little something. Allison Johnson, and there's Erica. Welcome back, Erica. How you doing today? Charles Van Onselen, Smee again, Ulrich Fenter, Richard Kuhn, Icono, Headnose back, Brian Lawrenson, Robert Renkin, Liam Menard, Gus, Richard Kuhn, Erica had to change her phones. John Van Onselen, Charles Van Onselen, Diane McMeekin's back. John Huchin in from Arizona. Brian Lawrenson, Marty Van Ballen, welcome back, Marty. Garrett Gillich, Du Alte Knabadu. Charles Van Onselen, the voice of reason. And Richard says, Piketberg, cold too, but the wind died down. Okay, mountains covered in snow. I know. I wish I was in South Africa. It's wintertime. Charles says he's sure that Joe's mind has been blank for a few years. I think you're correct in your assessment there. And then we've got, I got everybody. Hester Coates, I almost missed her. And there's Mike. Hey, how's it going there? Nice solar. It's kind of cloudy here. In fact, let me take a look and see what's going on with my solar. Let's see what's going on here. Yeah, no. Not, well, it's okay. 8.98, but it's just dropped down only 75% right now of what it can draw. But this is not a great month for the year. Best month was actually June with 1.2 megawatts. And then 1.15 in July, and this month only got 900 kilowatts. So I'm going to struggle to make it to a megawatt this month. All right, what else we got here? So Erica is in the Cape Town area there. What is that? Anna Banana? What did I see that there? Anna Banana too. Welcome, Anna Banana. Okay. Clive Streak, welcome to you. Almost missed you there. Chris Swanepoel, Gabriel just outed as woke arse and discredited the organization he represents. Yeah, no, that's interesting that he wrote that thing. So, yeah, back to Preston Bush. Huh? Remember myself when Gabriel Crouse was treated very poorly by supremacists on SABC's big debate TV show. IRL never going to release the info. Well, then they're going to wind up losing their license to operate in the media. Cabello, was that a statement you're saying, I love the DA? I'm not sure where you get that from. Harley Quinn says, could you elaborate on the right of conquest with regard to Israel's 7-Day War? Oh, sure. I mean the 6-Day War from 1967. Arab forces were massing. The air bases in Egypt, in Syria, in Iraq were combat position with aircraft, loading fuel and armaments. And the intelligence reported accurately that the Arabs were about to attack Israel. So in order to prevent being slaughtered, the Israelis decided to launch their attack first, and they attacked and wiped out the Egyptian Air Force, the Syrian Air Force on the ground, the Jordanian Air Force on the ground. And then they won the Golan Heights in combat. They won what is erroneously called the West Bank of the Jordan River. It's not the West Bank, it's Judea. They won Judea, and they also captured the Sinai and Gaza. The Israelis returned the Sinai to Egypt after the Arabs attacked Israel again in 1973. They returned the Sinai as part of the Camp David Accords, and the Bar-Lev line was removed, and they moved back. They retained those other possessions which were conquered in war. Right of conquest. Warfare is a legitimate form of political discourse. Liberals like to pretend it's not, and wokies like to pretend that it's not. I mean, I prefer that we not have war. I prefer that you settle your differences otherwise. But it is and has long been established legitimate means. That's why we have laws of land warfare. We have laws of warfare. That's why we have conventions on the norms in warfare and the basis for it. So when people claim that warfare is illegal, that's you could make. So for instance, the invasion of the Malvinas Islands or the Falklands in 1982. Was that legitimate? Well, according to the Argentinians, it was legitimate. They had a political grievance with the UK and they couldn't solve it. And so they invaded. Arguably, it's legitimate use of the military. I would say that their argument was weak. They don't have no claim to the Malvinas. The Falkland Islands are British, and they have been British. They were never really Argentinian. They were Spanish briefly, but they're never Argentinian. So there you go. But the British response, was, of course, was legitimate in self-defense. Yep. So did I answer your question, Harley? And Camilla says, good afternoon. Lovely Monday's in from Howick. How's it going? Tanya DeBeer. Oh, my goodness, Tanya. Been a while, young lady. How you doing? And Erica's here. What are you talking about? Is Erica MIA? She's here. And he's a common sense party with great foundation, says Icono. It's a leftist political party that embraces all kinds of wackadoodle ideas that many people in the mainstream don't agree with. That said, it's the only real option for South Africans. Okay. Helen Rich is here. Hey, Helen. Hi, Charles. Yes, we need it. And now we're blessed. Only 7 degrees tomorrow. Ooh, winter is coming to an end, huh? Chinese state media says that Canada is shooting itself in the foot with new tariffs on electric vehicles. Again, I discussed this topic yesterday. I didn't really offer an opinion. I just laughed about the Canadians and how they like to comment about Americans and our protectionism, yet they do the exact same thing, or far worse. Listen, the Chinese are subsidizing their electric vehicles and dumping them in our markets. They're subsidizing their battery manufacture, and they're stealing global production so that they can raise the prices later on. They've already proven this in multiple industries. I have no problem with sanctions against a country that cheats World Trade Organization rules. When they go against the General Agreement on Trade and Tariffs, which is now the World Trade Organization, and violate the rules, then I have no problem. If the United States is going to get spanked for the tariffs it puts on people illegitimately, then it should be spanked. So should China for its behavior. Now, the law of land warfare is international norms, international agreements that are reached. And then there's conventions like the Geneva Conventions. Harley says, thank you for the context. You're welcome, Harley. You're welcome. Now, a lot of normies, not normies, but lefties and wokies will tell you that Israel unprovoked attacked the Arabs in 1967. It's simply not true. It's simply not true. Yes, they did attack. They attacked first, but it wasn't unprovoked and it wasn't without merit. Patrick, thank you for your 30 months. Elma 5 pence, I believe you're the only one buffering right now. Apologies for that. And again, my apologies for being tardy, folks, but there's something going on with software. I have to look and make sure I don't have a bot or a virus or something. Double check to make sure I don't have a problem going on here. I canceled my McAfee because it's garbage, and quite frankly, they were trying to bill me 3 times for the same subscription. So I had to stop that. All right, cool. Yeah, the law of land warfare is something we teach in the military. We teach to our soldiers, we teach to our sailors, Marines, and we teach to foreign militaries. In fact, there's a legal conference going on right now in Zambia, hosted by the Zambian Defense Force and the United States African Command about legal advisors in the role of military deployments, peacekeeping, and such. Yep, and conflict. Yep, let's get to the news then. We've got a few things to say. First off, I wanted to thank everybody who's watched the videos in the last few days. We've had a couple decent ones. The Ramon Cabanac video is up to 11,300, but it is plateaued. We're down to just 5 people per hour watching it, so not many people watching that. And then the press council castigating the IOL on the Ronaldo. I'm going to have to do a clickbait title, I guess, to get attention, but that one's died off too. That's at not even 8,800. Just kind of died off after one day. It's kind of unfortunate that happens. But the next one, the Gabriel Crouse one, is up already, and we've got, you're all here watching me, so you're not watching it. There you go. So I've got a few of you that are actually here comment on it. So someone said, hi, Chris, lost respect for Gabriel after the Ronaldo fiasco. He said he was more concerned that Ronaldo acknowledges and supports Irania. He clearly hates Irania, and yet people like Gate McKenzie, Pinole, and Blackpen, and more. I don't remember Ronaldo saying he liked Irania. Maybe I missed that. So, I mean, it's possible. We don't catch everything. We can't speak for someone else. We can only speak for ourselves. Richard said, used to like Gabriel Crouse and the way he debated, but his recent op-eds give concern about his latest unbiased mindset. Yep. Patrick says, with this no power here in peace since Friday, it brings home just how stupid the media's social justice warriors can be. Felt like after I had a gun to my head 5 years ago, real issues. Yeah, Patrick, it is real issues. And but no one is watching my content on real issues. And these are actual issues in the media, so I cover them. I know you weren't criticizing me. I didn't infer that. Didn't take it as an attack on me. But you're right. The media, I'm covering it because the media's talking about it because I expose the media. Yep. So, yeah. Anyway. Charles, it wasn't a 68, it was 1967, Six-Day War. Hacksaw Ridge. No, I've never watched It's Me Again. I'm familiar with it, but I never watched it. Yeah, Tom Berenger's in that, isn't he? Yep. All right. All right, so let's get back to the news here. So we peaked here at 115 people popped in, and some of them left already. That is their prerogative. Well, folks, interesting, the Democratic Alliance comes to the defense of Dada Marrero in Joburg, saying removing him is not going to help. Well, they're probably right, but it is interesting. The DA is really doing backflips to comply with the Democratic Alliance. Marabani, Robert Doigan, a.k.a. Marabani, person that used to come on this program until he got what he needed and we never saw him again. But Marabani posted on Twitter that it's interesting that the DA is and people like Gabriel Crouse are attacking Roman Cabanac when, well, it's not the DA attacking him, it's the liberals, but when the DA is actually involved in all sorts of things. So the city of Cape Town just took a multi-billion-dollar loan from the World Bank. The DA has bent over and took it up the rectum from the ANC on national health insurance. The DA has abandoned its devolution of government to federalism. The DA is doing all sorts of things that it said it would never do. Never do. No, it's okay, Charles. It's okay. But making sure I was correct. Yep. So, yeah. Cabela says, all right. All right, what, Cabela? L.I. Hussar, hello to you. Welcome. That looks like a Hungarian flag up there. So, removing him is now the DA is defending ANC mayors. Look, some of this is to be expected. You have to have compromises if you're going to be in a coalition. That's just how it works. You can't have all your cake and the icing. You've got to compromise on some things. However, the DA is not compromising on simple things like renaming post office. Their DA is compromising on fundamental things that will alter the structure of South Africa, like national health insurance, federalism. Compromising on those shows that the DA is either dishonest or just power hungry. Take your pick or both. Yep. Jeremy's been doing content on YouTube for a while now, but nobody's watching it. I don't know if they're hiding him like they hide me, but you go and you see like 20 people watching his streams and, a couple hundred views. He's been back on YouTube for a while now. I told Jerem a long time ago that the YouTube censorship regime is easier than it was before. But, he's always pushing the button, so I don't know. Few Global Eye News Twitter posts and we need Trump back. Okay. Okay, I kind of thank you. Subliminal message to Charles. Okay. All right, so again, the DA now is protecting ANC mayors. A petition with more than 13,000 signatures has been launched calling for Dada Moreira's head after a statement that they should hire foreign nationals to be cops. In an unusual turn of events, which is not unusual, folks, you'll see the DA doing this frequently now, DA's Joburg caucus leader, Belinda Kaiser Ekozonjoku, has come to the defense of Dada Moreira, saying she believes a change in mayorship, moving him, is not the solution to the declining city. Now, the petition, where's the petition from? Change.org? Please spare me. It doesn't say where the petition is from. Where is this petition? It doesn't tell us where the petition is. These aren't real petitions on change.org. They're just self-appeasing garbage. She told Times Live that change in leadership would only worsen the situation that's already struggling with crime, unemployment, seriously. In terms of changing mayors, we believe it's not good for the city. It's going to cause even more instability. Well, you just change mayors. We previously requested the dissolution of councils, and it was shut down at the time. This is the type of instability the DA warned about. Well, she believes the only answer is fresh municipal elections. Well, you're not going to have fresh municipal elections. Ain't going to happen. So, next up, folks, Gabriel Crouse runs an op-ed in which he's highly critical of Roman Cabanac and says some things that I think are a bit questionable. That's why I made a video on it. We'll see if people actually watch the video. Put a lot of effort into it. House of Bees is being closed in Cape Town because of extortion. Sad. I love that bar. Never heard of it, Cabello. Don't know it. Is that, where's that? What part of town is that in? Is that in Sea Point? How do you remove mayor in South Africa? With a vote of no confidence. They have a parliamentary system at every level, at the national, the provincial, and at the municipal. It's crazy. Just ask Athol Trollop. He was removed as mayor. Yep. All right, so Gabriel Crouse writes this op-ed, which I found a bit puzzling. Gabriel Crouse, was Steenhuisen aware of Roman Cabanac's racist remarks? Ooh. And that's a gratuitous shot. Why? What does the firearm have to do with racism? That's not the only photograph available of Roman Cabanac. You can see from my video that there's plenty of images of Roman Cabanac. That's intentional. See, this is not journalism. This is what we call sensationalism. I'm not talking about the op-ed. I'm talking about the inclusion of a photograph of him with a firearm, knowing that it will upset the lefties and the wokies and hurt their feelings and get their nether regions all into Twitter. They put this up there. No, there's no continuity in government. No. There's still a council, but you unseat and you have to have a vote and you have to get another. It causes all kinds of trouble. Yep, mess and PE is a direct result of Athol Trollop being removed thanks to Malema's racism on the grounds. Things. Yeah, exactly. Julius Malema's racist behavior in Port Elizabeth, saying that he needs to be removed not because he's incompetent, but because he is white. That's why Athol Trollop had to be removed as Democratic Alliance mayor of PE, was because he was white. And Julius Malema can say these things. Is Gabriel Crouse concerned about the racist comments of Julius Malema? Maybe he is. I don't know. Anyway, so he goes on, says blacks are not liberal. So let me ask you this question, folks. Is that a controversial statement? Let me just read a little bit of the text from my video that I put out, because I have the text right here in front of me. So he said a few things. Let me find it really quickly here. Where is it? All right, might be a little further up here. So come on. All right. So what caused this op-ed from Gabriel Crouse to be put up there? Hey, Rolf Corver, thank you, man. 19 months. Thank you. Yeah, please hit the like button. He said, so I'm saying, what drove the op-ed? Well, it seems that many things about Roman disturb Gabriel, but the proximate cause here mentioned in this op-ed is, surprise, surprise, at least 2 different tweets on X. Shortly before the 2024 elections, Roman posted on X categorically that blacks are not liberals. In a second tweet, he said the DA is a constant reminder that blacks are not liberals. If you want to be a liberal party, it cannot be black run. Now, my first point about this was, is it controversial to make the claim that black South Africans aren't liberal? Does that really fall outside the norm of political discourse? And how is that racist? Now, I suppose you could parse this and say, calling a group of people blacks. Well, people say whites, people say colors, people say Indians. It's not racist to say blacks. Maybe you should just say South African blacks, but I suppose that's really nitpicking if you're going to whine about that. So how is that racist to say that blacks are not liberal? Later in the op-ed, Gabriel Crouse cites an Afrobarometer survey, which exactly says that, but he's trying to make a different point, that illiberalism is the problem. And he says that, 65 or 62% of whites and 65% of blacks would forego a liberal government for safety and security. Well, you kind of made Roman's point there. You kind of made his point. Yeah, Musi Maimani is a liberal. Are you laughing? What? Exactly. Yeah, the DA is leftist, but it appoints a so-called right-winger, Roman Cabanac. Well, that's because... Are you laughing at me, or are you laughing at my statement? The DA is leftist. Dude, look at their policies. They're pro-LGBTQ+. That's not conservative. That's not right-wing. That's not even remotely right-wing. They like state-owned enterprises. That is leftist. That is a belief and a confidence and a faith that government is the answer to all of society's issues. It's not. It is the problem. Governments are constituted by a polity to govern for our common interest, national defense, the right to seek redress in a court system, security, law enforcement, prosecution, miscreants. That's the role of government, ensuring a level playing field in the economic sphere. It's not the role of government to do the things that the DA wants government to do. They have no problem with the government owning SAA, Transnet, Airports Company South Africa. They have no problem with that. They love parastatals. They just think they can do a better job. If you don't think the DA is leftist, then you don't understand politics in the political spectrum. People need to become better informed and educated about politics. I'm a political scientist, a university educated political scientist, and a published author in political science. Okay? So you can doubt me, but then just go look it up. There's no axe to grind here. There's no agenda, just a statement of fact. Right, left, center. Liberal ideas and concepts are left of center. They call for change to improve society. That's the intent. Conservatives would say society doesn't need to change to improve. But it's not a hard and fast rule. People are this way, that way. That's why Ronaldo has some conservative beliefs, but he's mostly liberal to the left. The DA is a liberal party. It's a left of center party. The problem in the mind, Icono, I believe, is that you and others are conflating hardline leftist wackadoodles, like we have in America now and in the UK, Keir Starmer, with liberal. That's not liberal. Liberals believe in traditional liberal values: life, liberty, pursuit of happiness, freedom of speech, freedom of assembly, freedom of thought. But the wackadoodles believe that air is a human right, that water is a human right, that healthcare is a human. They aren't human rights. They're not rights. They're not natural rights. Read David Hume. Those aren't natural rights. Life, the right to life is a natural human right. The right to liberty, is a natural human right. Traditional liberals are responsible for some of the best ideas of the Enlightenment and modern concepts. But calling the DA leftist, left of center, doesn't mean that they're not. It's true, they are. Patrick says, exactly. That's why I keep telling people I never vote for the DA. Richard says, please get Gabriel on your show again so we the people can interrogate his motives for him going communist. That's kind of mean. Olivier says, also, be real. If they weren't left, they wouldn't get half the votes. Patrick gave a super chat. Thank you for that 14 Rand super chat, Patrick. I do appreciate that. Chris Wyatt here. Musimani is more liberal than some other white politicians, right? I don't know if that's a question or a statement. What are you saying, Akano? I know there's a question mark there, but I don't understand the question. Just because the National Party was so pro, people assume it's a right-wing policy. Exactly. And just because the Nazis... See, what I get a kick at is... Not a kick, but I find comical is fascism is a right-wing... No, it's not. We had this conversation yesterday. It's not. Fascism is across the political spectrum. Fascism calls for state control, state ownership, state dictated, state control of your liberty, your freedom, your economic means of production. That is fascism. And that's what the National Socialists were for. They're not right-wing. They're socialist. They're left-wing. Left-wings oppress people all over the world every day. Yes, it would be a center-left party. That's correct, Icono. Spot on. Okay. Classical liberals are concerned. Yeah, they are. Classical liberals are conservative in the modern context. The middle has disappeared. Yep. Modern liberals are leftist progressives. Starmer isn't left or right. He's simply a moron. Well, I think you're right about that. Left of center. But Cabanac did only play the if not, did not as a reporter. I don't understand what you're saying on my 5 pence. That's correct. Gus, RFK is liberal. He's not woke. He's not a leftist, so to speak. He's left of center. Yeah. Well, actually, no, his uncle was conservative. Look at the policies of JFK. JFK would not be in the Democratic Party today. It wouldn't have been in for the past 30 years. JFK lowered the personal income tax rate. JFK believed in limited government. He believed in national defense. He believed in the concept of, the domino theory, and that's why he intervened in Vietnam. He was, in most respects, a conservative. But the Democrats used to have conservatives. JFK, conservative. Other than where he stuck his schwanz, that was not conservative. But JFK, conservative. Zell Miller, conservative. Joe Lieberman, conservative. Those people are gone. Conservatives used to be found in both political parties. Liberals used to be found in both political parties. You had liberal Republicans. The term liberal was hijacked by left-wing progressives during the Gilded Age and Depression. Maybe, but it really took effect in the last 30 years. And nationalism does not mean right-wing. Correct, Oliver. Yeah, people just don't get this. All right, so that's that. Now, for his part, Byron Shepard has written a defense of Roman. It doesn't start like a defense. I'm going to read some of it to you, but it does protect or defend him. Like the treatment of Trump, this election campaign, all the indictments. I find the political environment in the U.S. be banana republic compared to where I live in the Netherlands. Is that in the Netherlands where you live? Okay, Icono. You can call us Banana Republic. You can call us that. That's your prerogative. Anyway, so Roman, the defense of him, this is on Morning Shots, Buy Me a Coffee, the website that stole my money. The defense of Roman. He said, as my former co-host, would be easy for me to defend, but honestly, he has so many negatives about him also. Ouch. None of this should be made public by me or others. There are many things I can mention, but this in philosophy is called an ad hominem attack. Yep. So, basically, an ad hominem attack is a form of attack to discredit an individual by defaming their character rather than the argument. And that's exactly what he's saying is going on here. And he defends Roman down here in this article. Yeah. So he makes a good point. He also says that Gabriel came on Roman's show repeatedly to promote his own ideas and for his own benefit. Now, in fairness to Gabriel, he did admit that he was on that program quite a bit. Yep. So from Jose to Roman Cabanac. Well, don't forget they also went after what's his name? Civics guy. The one you guys want to be police minister. I'm trying to senior moment blanks here. The guy that has not keeps promising to come on the program and never does. He's been on here before. Sarah Gahn mentioned a business. My thoughts. Who is Sarah Gahn? BizNews. I don't know who that is. I know Chris Sten. I know Alex on there. Ian Cameron. Thank you, Lindy DeLong, for helping me get over my senior moment. Yeah, Ian Cameron was also attacked, but it fell off. Then Johnson drags Dems away from liberalism. He sure did. Sure did. Roman reminds me of Carabanosa, cracking and spicy. Friends, Romans, countrymen, lend me your ears. I've not come here to praise Caesar, but to bury him. Mark Antony, who proceeds to laud Caesar. Yep, exactly. Netherlands has the same problem as USA, most of Europe with half Islam taking over, says Smee again. Okay. Engineering is science until bean counters and greed gets involved. Thus, no politics for me except to continuously improve towards right of center, says Rolf. Okay, cool. Now, by the way, again, my thoughts. Who is Saragon? I don't know who Saragon is. Anyway, so so Byron Shepard has penned a defense of Roman Cabanac. Listen, let's talk about this. Okay, so let me just talk about these op-eds in general before we go on with the news. So Gabriel Crouse writes an op-ed in which he basically says that, I mean, you can infer what you want. I'm not trying to color your judgment. You watch my video, go read the stories, and make your own conclusion. But from my conclusion, it's written to give the impression that he's calling Roman a racist. I mean, that's what it sounds like. I mean, he says he has racist tweets, and he said racist things. So, I mean, what else would you be saying about him? Can't compare the others with the UK or Germany. Remember, we did even terror attack. You have had terror attacks. You've had politicians assassinated. That's a terror attack. You did have one. You've had assassins. You also had politicians who had to flee the Netherlands because their life was in jeopardy and moved to America. Remember a certain Somali? Yeah, come on. I kind of. Also, your country has fraught racial relations as well, owing to its mass number of Indonesians living in the country. Oh, ISIL. Yeah, okay, well, that's fair. You did have an ISIL attacks. That's true, but that's because they use the Netherlands as an operations base. They're not going to crap in their own backyard. They don't crap in their own backyard. Theo Van Gogh, thank you very much. Next is a thought. See, well, you guys helped me with my senior moments. Yep. Yeah, those are terrorist acts. The assassination of a political figure is a terrorist act to cow political opposition. That's exactly what it is. Exactly what it is. But back to the story here at hand. So, what exactly is the problem with Roman Cabanac? I'm not defending Roman. I'm not attacking. I'm not defending. I'm just asking a question. What is the problem with Roman serving as a chief of staff to run a staff, administer a staff inside a government agency? By the way, so in this op-ed, Gabriel asks a question, and he says it at the end, but I put it at the beginning of my thing. He says, who in their right mind of any race could say that Roman Cabanac is the best person for that potent managerial government job? Well, John Steenhuisen, for one, he hired him, and the South African government for another. You see, in order to work for the government, he had to be vetted. He had to be approved, particularly in a position like that. So the government approved him, and John Steenhuisen approved him, and he's now on the payroll of the taxpayer. So who, for one? Lots of people, Gabriel. I mean, I agree with them. And I even said there, I said, maybe you and I, maybe not so much. But what is the problem with him working there? We have Julius Malema, who calls for the murder of white farmers in their beds, sings gloriously to that, fires firearms into the air, race hustles endlessly, gets Athol Trout removed, and votes against him because he's white. There's a super chat from Erica. Thank you for that, Erica. 70 Rand. Getting close to the end of the month. We went to top last month. We're going to need some more cash. That goes on every day. The ANC passes policies that prevent people from getting actual access to tourism relief funds. Thank you, Brett. Brett says, Steenhuisen was right to appoint Roman. I don't know about that. I don't know if I'd hire Roman to be my chief of staff. I don't know that I wouldn't. But anyway, it's his call to make. But there's no argument being made here by Gabriel that would obviate the right of John Steenhuisen to hire him. This is yet more baggage, and I don't understand why this baggage is being thrown out there. I mean, look, anybody that's ever talked to or engaged with or watched or been on a panel with Roman knows he's a cheeky bugger. He's a cheeky bastard. That's what he is. He throws grenades out there with the pin pulled to get people to say and do things and to get reactions. That's what he does. It's hyperbole. But he does have some core beliefs, I believe. He believes in monarchy. He thinks it's a good idea. He jokes about it a lot, but he believes in it. But, you know, this is what is there in any of this that would make him unqualified to serve? Is this a question about what his experience is? I mean, that was a question I asked in the initial video when I taught him. I said, what are his qualifications? And I joked about it. And I said, Ramon is, run these multinational organizations, or not multinational, and nonprofit organizations, he's been a consultant. And so I pretended my phone rang. Remember that? I did that. Remember that? You guys remember that? My phone rang and I answered the phone. And said, well, gosh, it's John Steenhuisen calling me to work to be his chief of staff, because obviously I have more than enough qualifications if Ramon's qualifications are enough. Remember that? You guys remember that? My phone rang. Don't you remember that? There it goes again. What is that ringing? That damn ringing. Stop it already. Anyway, just kidding. Yeah, so Alan says personally he thinks Ramon is a dick. A dickhead. But there's no problem with him taking a position. Yeah. Yeah, and here's the other thing. Anyway, issue with Ramon's appointment is that so many DA members were overlooked. Ramon is smarmy and off-putting. Shadow Seer, that may very well be true, and I don't disagree with what you're saying. However, why should DA political party members be appointed to a government job? Government jobs should be agnostic when it comes to politics. People working in government jobs should not, now, arguably a chief of staff in this ministry, I don't think they should have chief of staff. I mean, that's well, yeah, they can have, we have in the military chief of staff, but you don't want political. So I have no problem, Shadows, here with not picking DA people. What's that got to do with it? Why should he be picking DA people? He should be picking competent civil servants. That's a civil servant job. That's not a political job. I have no idea what Monroe's saying. He's got a lot of typos here. Chris, he has big cojones. After all, Ramon doesn't have to pay for a lawyer, something he want to file against him, and then slow walk the case, financially killing. I don't know what that's about. Was that ear shattering? Sorry about that, Mike. Marilyn remembers. Any thoughts on Serpent ZA? Nexus, not much to say at all. I don't know who backs the guy, but he's got some really snazzy graphics and has a big reach. And do I envy that? Sure, I envy that size of his reach. But he lives in America, apparently. Goes to China and places like that. Must be nice to have those resources. Yeah, so some of his content I've watched. It's been good. Some has been all right. Some has been suspect. But everybody can say that about pretty much everything. Anyway, Erica says, I suspect Steenhuisen appointed Ramon for his legal degree and his public platform. I don't think so, Erica. I think that John Steenhuisen appointed Ramon because, whether he's right or wrong, he thinks Ramon's a smart guy, and because they're friends. Now, Ramon denied that in the news article, said that they didn't have a pre-existing relationship, but that's nonsense. There's no way that's true. No way that's true. Just based on anecdotal evidence, that can't possibly be true. Can't possibly be true. Good evening, Ernst. Ramon is just a troll, but yeah, let's move on. Exactly. South Africa is investigating alleged corruption of over $7 billion at state-owned companies. Look at this. In the Washington Times, South Africa's active investigations into alleged corruption totaling more than $7 billion at some of its top state-owned companies, according to a report published yesterday by the National Anti-Graft Unit. The investigations are not new, and some have been running since 2018. All of them were cited by the Special Investigating Unit report to Parliamentary Committee to give an update on the status of the probes. Wow. 60 suspicious contracts and hundreds of cases of conflict of interest and other alleged corruption worth nearly $4 billion of public money are under investigation at Transnet alone. Wow. Nearly 40 other ongoing investigations of alleged corruption involving different state-run businesses and national provincial government departments. Insane. More than 270 contracts at Eskom worth $2.2 billion are under scrutiny. Investigators believe $540 million was lost to corruption at passenger rail company Prasa, some through a scheme where money was stolen through payments made to more than 1,200 ghost employees who didn't even exist. And the SIU's report, one contract under investigation worth more than $300 million dates back to the 2010 FIFA World Cup. Wow. $7 billion. Imagine where all that money went in the pockets of caters. Yep. Well, if you think that's something, $7 billion in corruption with state-owned enterprises, another reason why states are not the answer. That's just the tip of the iceberg. Now we have another 24 billion rand in unauthorized expenditure, and that's just part of the story. This just keeps getting better in South Africa, folks. 24 billion rand in unauthorized expenditure. The Auditor General paints a grim picture of the country's municipalities. Only one of the country's 8 metropolitan municipalities achieved a clean audit. The Auditor General reported that only 34 of 257 local municipalities obtained a clean audit. Opposition parties and civic groups have raised concerns about the poor financial controls in municipalities. Wow. So 24 billion in unauthorized expenditures plus another 7 billion that is considered wasteful or fruitless. 31 billion rand. Now, that's on top of the 7 billion rand that's been stolen in state-owned enterprises, $7 billion. And this is 30, 24, 31. That's another 1.5 billion. That's almost $9 billion. Can we guess which municipality? Probably in Gauteng. There's one municipality there that gets clean audit. So which is it? Mark says, when I started at Atlas in Denell, there were 9,000. 21 years later, I volunteered for Trencham. There are only 482 people left. Wow. That's crazy. That's crazy. Yep. Wow. Crazy stuff. Well, Gate McKenzie has sacked the South African Boxing Board. Gone. Boxing Board of South Africa is Midval. That's correct, Helen. That's who I'm guessing. Midval. Yep. And, of course, the guy used to be the mayor there for the DA says, well, the reason they had a clean audit was because of me. And he ran for office and nobody voted for him. You were in office because the DA put you there, not because you were the guy people wanted. When will South African politicians realize that you're not a member of parliament or on the city council because people like you or voted for you? They didn't vote for you, John Steenhuisen. They didn't vote for you, Cyril Ramaphosa. They didn't vote for you, Gate McKenzie. They voted, well, maybe Gate McKenzie's because it's cult of personality, did vote for him, but they voted for your party, and your party picked you. So, Ronaldo, Ian Cameron, all of these people, you were picked by a party, not by the people. That is, in essence, what is it? There's a word for it, and it's not a senior moment. What's the word for it? Patronage. Patronage. Wow. Patrons. Gate McKenzie has sacked the South African Boxing Board to get rid of a lawsuit. Sports Minister Gate McKenzie has dissolved the Boxing South Africa Board with immediate effect, deciding against spending more money on a court case to keep them in office, though it had appeared that the case was winnable. So the Times Live would like the government of South Africa to waste money on an organization they should have nothing to do with. Why does the government of South Africa have anything to do with the Boxing Board? Why does the government of South Africa have anything to do with the South African Rugby Union? Why does the government of South Africa have anything to do with the Proteas? They should have nothing to do with that. These should be private organizations in total. In total. Gate McKenzie for Minister of Police in 2029. What do you think about that? I think that's a horrible decision. Horrible decision. His impulse control is poor. And we don't need someone with poor impulse control in charge of the police. We already had that twice. Old job at eThekwini. It's 2 white guys, 120 people. Where are the ANC demographic? Exactly. Thank you, Charles. Correct. And what has happened to that municipality? Not because the employees are black or Indian. It's because they're patronage hires. Yep. Boxing has always been corrupt. Well, I don't disagree with that. So is wrestling. So soccer. FIFA is incredibly corrupt. Well, has Shell left South Africa or not? Ladies and gentlemen, you tell me. Shell Corporation said they're leaving South Africa, but every time I turn around, there's another news story about Shell. And here they are again. The Constitutional Court dismissed Shell's appeal over the Wild Coast exploration right. Remember when the whites and the colored leftist activists protested on the beach? The seismic testing is killing our shoreline. Remember that? Yeah. So they shut down energy resources that South Africans desperately need to make energy affordable, ubiquitous, and reliable. No, they don't care about that. They keep their nice little beach houses and their wealthy place for whites and coloreds, and the rest of you can get screwed. Yeah. By the way, the seismic testing was occurring over 100 kilometers from the shore. Oh, like it's somehow going to affect the... give me a break. Unbelievable. Constitutional Court has dismissed an application by Shell and Impact Africa seeking appeal to a ruling that set aside its exploration rights off the Wild Coast. Now, the argument by the leftists was that they didn't consult sufficiently with local communities. Really? All right. Well, folks. Whoa, it's 90 degrees here. Whew, that's sweltering. However, in Cape Town, it's beginning to look a lot like Christmas. Oh, my goodness. Yes. Erica says Shell's worse than a woman who can't make up her mind. Cape Tonians woke Wednesday to icy conditions and a light dusting of snow on top of Table Mountain as God sprinkled sugar on top of Table Mountain. A little light frosting of sugar on top of the mountain there. Chilly temperatures. Snowfall in the Western Cape. It is, after all, wintertime. Well, folks, here's some interesting news. I'm sure that Jax and some of our viewers would like this. Pink ladies. Rapist dad, a member of the South African Police Service Specialized Unit, was sentenced to life in jail for raping his own daughter. Sick and twisted. You don't like that it happened. I'm saying they would like the outcome. The officer was charged with rape, further read with the provisions of Section 51, Part 1 of Schedule 2 of the Criminal Law Amendment Act 105 of 1997. On the night of July 4th, 2023, the police officer, the little girl, and her stepmother slept on the same bed at their residence. And he raped her. She tried to reach for her sleeping stepmother, but the policeman grabbed her hand, preventing her from reaching out to the woman. She said she didn't scream because she was afraid. So the next morning, her grandmother came to collect her, and she told the grandmother what had happened to her. The grandmother, for her part, thankfully took the child for examination to a healthcare center, and the forensic nurse established that, in fact, the little girl had been raped. 9 years of age. 9 years of age. The accused, a police officer attached to one of the specialized units within the police service, was arrested and charged with the rape of his daughter. During the trial, Regional Court's prosecutor advocate Shireen Teresa Links argued that the accused betrayed his own daughter and that instead of being her protector, he became her abuser. In the end, the court found the disgraced police officer and father guilty of raping his daughter in the court and sentenced him to life imprisonment. Life imprisonment. Oh, things aren't going to go good for him in jail, trust me. Not enough palms greased and what's the mean? Yeah, I think you're right about that, Charles. How can I forget Ramaphosa's smile at the Springboks let him hold? Yeah, they didn't let him. He ripped it out to see his hands. That's right. You're right. Oh, I haven't forgotten that. Yeah, imagine what if he did that at home to his own daughter. Imagine what he did to other kids. Well, folks, if you're in South Africa, nearly 20% of victims say that the police never arrive when they call for help. Nearly 20% of victims who called the police to report a crime said officers never arrived. This is a sample source of 30,000 households across the country. Wow. Wow. More than 16% said the police took more than 2 hours to arrive, while 29% said they arrived less than 30 minutes after being called. So 1 in 3. So you have a 1 in 3 chance of cops actually showing up. There's Jax. No, it doesn't happen often enough, the prosecution like this. Most GBV and GBH cases against police officers go nowhere because of protection by their peers. Exactly. Jax, that's why I said you and the Pink Ladies, I'm sure, would be happy about the outcome of this case. Now, the names are not involved because there's a minor involved, so they can't release the name because then it will be obvious who the child that was raped. But this is actually a good outcome, thankfully. Yes, Richard. Now, look, folks, okay, let's talk about this, okay? Incest, child molestation, these are normal. It's not normal to do it. They're normally regularly occurring events, and they happen everywhere. They happen in Saudi Arabia. They happen in Pakistan. They happen in South Africa, in Lesotho, in Botswana, in the United States, in Germany. It happens everywhere. Unfortunately, abusers get away with it for many reasons. In the past, it's often because the justice system did not treat the offenders as if they were offenders. But thankfully, she told her go-go. She told her go-go in the morning. And the go-go took her to a clinic where she was examined. Now this child will have lifelong trauma from that invasion of her privacy, violation of her body, and psychological issues tied to this. Let's hope that she overcomes it. Yep. Well, I think it's safe to say I'm not going to go back to South Africa, folks. Never going back to South Africa. Just not going to happen. Just, the way I was treated, not going to happen. Just not coming back. Sorry. Can't do it. Can't do it. Can't come back to South Africa. Not me. Not me. I think it's safe to say that I'm not going back. Has Chidima Adetshina dumped South Africa? What? Former Miss South African contestant Chidima Adetshina has dumped Mzansi, with the beauty queen telling Nigerian radio station it's safe to say I'm not going back to a country she's called her home for 23 years. Well, if you think living in Nigeria is a basket of roses, you think it's better than South Africa? Good luck with that, sweetheart. So why does Oliver say lies? Lies about what? Jack says historically across the entire world, perpetrators are treated and victims are shunned, shamed. Well, yeah, did you see? Now, this one, I'm still trying to track down the story, but this is posted all over social media, and it's one I'm still questioning. So there was a story, the newspaper link showing that a rapist in Pakistan got justice because the victim's brother was allowed to rape the sister of the perpetrator. So the man who raped someone's sister, he agreed to allow his sister to be raped. So she was publicly raped. Now, we know in this part of the world that women are shunned, often murdered for being victims of rape. So the story, I'm still trying to track it down if it's any truth to it. But what an insane world that's a system of justice. What kind of judicial system allows such kind of lunacy? Well, okay, since he raped your sister, you can rape his sister in front of everybody. What? Yeah, they are the rape capitals of the world, Icona. Pakistan, India, yep. No, Oliver, not the one. No. It's her. It's her. I was reading the headlines. Did I trick you guys? I wasn't trying to. Charles says, damn, now I'm not going to sleep tonight. Miss Nigeria. Well, she said she's not coming back. So that's her. 10 passengers killed as a Mzansi Express bus traveling from Zim crashes in Limpopo. That sucks. At least 10 passengers died on a Mzansi Express bus accident that took place 3 miles on the N1 between Louis Trichardt around Louis Trichardt in Limpopo. Bus was traveling from Zimbabwe destined for Joburg when the crash happened Tuesday night. Bus was en route to Joburg. Reports the bus drove over a roundabout at the last traffic circle at high speed, lost control, and overturned, killing and injuring passengers in the process. Wow. That's horrible. That's crazy. Sorry to hear that. Sorry for the loss of life there. Well, the Springboks get some good news, which we talked about yesterday on Megaphone Rugby with MV Velman and myself. Eben Etzebeth will be in the match this weekend, coming off the bench. Look at that. Springboks get Eben Etzebeth to boost ahead of All Blacks Rugby Championship clash. He's been cleared to face the All Blacks after completing all the training sessions so far this week and will feature off the bench at Ellis Park after he was initially left out of the squad on Tuesday. So there you go. He will surpass Brian Cabanac for the second most test ever in the history of the Springboks this weekend when he comes off the bench. He gets his 125th cap, trailing only the iconic Victor Matfield with 127. Nick came at the wrong time. No, Nick, don't run off. Don't feel sad. We had some other news to talk about here. Yep. I have a dear friend that is still dealing with mental issues because of what her father did to her when she was a little girl, now in her mid-50s. Yeah, no, Marilyn, and look, we need to be clear about this, folks. It's not just little girls it happens to. It happens to boys as well. And just as prevalent as it is to little girls. People like to bury their head in the sand when it comes to sexual abuse, sexual assault, and particularly incest. People don't want to talk about it. But it happens all over the world. He may have fell asleep at the wheel, but another reason not to drive these buses. Namibia, looking to finalize a sovereign wealth fund a la Kuwait and Norway. Namibia's government plans complete establishment of its sovereign wealth fund next year and expects its first offshore oil project to be approved. Aha! We're busy developing a comprehensive law that's going to set the rules of withdrawal and also the rules of investment. Well, ladies and gentlemen, Namibia has a chance to get it right. Am I confident they will? Not very. Namibia has a chance before they exploit this resource. They've already been exploiting diamonds and uranium for decades as an independent country since 1990. So over 30 years, and it has not benefited the poor in the country. It has not benefited the landowners in the country. It has not benefited the country. It's benefited the elites and international corporations. So will the sovereign wealth fund be managed properly because there's oil now? Don't hold your breath. Don't hold your breath. Emerson Mnangagwa, his sycophants are calling for the abolition of the Constitution. They want him to stay in office. Yes, Namibia has elections coming up. They might elect the first female head of state. Supporters call for Zimbabwe to drop term limits despite ironclad constitution. Zimbabwe is seeing calls from within ZANU-PF to change the constitution to allow President Mnangagwa to extend his stay in office, something that appears legally impossible. Well, it is legally impossible. It's an 11-year-old constitution, and it was meant to be put in place so that Mugabe could die in office, but of course he didn't die in office. So the near octogenarian Emerson Mnangagwa should leave office, and forthwith, immediately. Yes. Floods in Nigeria kill at least 49, displaced thousands. Officials remain worried over heavy rains that have caused flooding in the rainy season, yet to peak in several states. 3 states in the northeast, Jigawa, Adamawa, and Taraba, have been hit hard by floods. 41,344 people have been displaced by these floods. Oof, not good. Well, former finance minister in Eritrea who was jailed has died in prison. Former Eritrean finance minister who was arrested in 2018 after calling the president a dictator has died in prison. He was never charged with a crime, nor was he allowed family visitations despite being in frail health, and spent the last 6 years of his life living in a prison. Wow. He fell out with the administration in 2012 following a disagreement over its handling of the country's finances. In 2018, he was arrested shortly after publishing a 2-volume book outside the country while living in Eritrea. And he paid with his life. There's a fascist state. Where's the ANC complaining about the treatment of Eritreans or Ethiopians or Tigrayans? Nowhere to be found. Well, Ethiopia says its GERD, the Grand Renaissance, the Grand Ethiopian Renaissance Dam, doubled its output of electricity. Egypt says it's more than double electricity production from its controversial mega dam on the Blue Nile after 2 more turbines started their operations. The multi-billion-dollar GERD, or Grand Ethiopian Renaissance Dam, a long source of tension with Egypt and Sudan, is now generating 1,550 megawatts of electricity, 1.5 gigawatts of electricity. Well, there you go. So they're still at it. I've lost everything. Not me. Bangladeshis. Bangladesh lost everything as flooding occurs there. 1.24 million people, 1.25 million people stranded by floods. Flood waters recede after heavy monsoon rains. Many have lost their homes, and some blame India for a dam release. Akramul Haq was stunned when his uncle called him late in the afternoon, August 21st, to inform him that floodwaters had inundated their ancestral home, close to the Indian border. At the time, Haq was about 10 kilometers away from the town of Mirasani, where he lives with his wife and children. It took 40 minutes traveling by minibus in the downpour to reach the village. Look at that flooding. Oof. The problem with Bangladesh is they all live in a floodplain. The entire country is a freaking floodplain. Well, media call for greater protections after the military junta killed 2 journalists in a raid in Myanmar. Journalists in Myanmar are calling for greater protections for media following the killing last week of 2 reporters and the heavy sentences handed down to other media professionals since the military seized power. A journalist with the Democratic Voice of Burma and a freelancer were both killed on August 21st when the military raided the home of the freelance reporter in the town of Kiakoto in Mon State. The killings come amid a crackdown on independent journalism. And which legacy media are talking about Myanmar? Where's Joe Biden on Myanmar? Where's Kamala Harris? Do you even know what Myanmar is? Probably not. We're going to win. First, we're going to win. Yeah, good Lord. Oh, my goodness. Flooding always happens in Bangladesh. Yes, because it's a floodplain. The Papa Mnangagwa is feeding them well, I see. Yes, Namibia is sitting on huge potential, but they're going to squander it, I suspect. Asmara is so beautiful. It's a shame. I've never been to Asmara. Yep. Can Japan's love for the 7-Eleven survive a Canadian acquisition? Convenience store chain has become a cornerstone of Japanese life, but a bid to buy the company by retail giant that owns Circle K has unnerved its fans. Well, I can understand that. Circle K suck. Circle K is prevalent in the western states of the United States. When I lived in Arizona, Circle K was our convenience store on the corner. Circle K. Never liked it. Never liked the quality. They had them in Iowa, too, surprisingly. But I haven't seen them recently because they don't have the breadth of the United States. But they're owned by a Canadian company. That was news to me. I didn't know that. But the Southland Corporation is Japanese-owned. It is an American corporation founded in Dallas 100 years ago, but it was bought out by the Japanese, who now control 70% of the stake in the early 1990s. Since then, it's been a Japanese company. And the Japanese have done wonderful things with 7-Eleven in Japan. If you've ever been to Japan, you know that 7-Eleven is a go-to place for snacks, for food, for all sorts of things. And so the Japanese are worried that the Canadian acquisition will change the culture of 7-Eleven. And I think it's a legitimate concern. At a 7-Eleven in the bustling Ginza district, Shunka Shugawara, 29, sits among a row of people in business attire and eats her usual lunch of rice balls and a red bean pastry. As cash registers bleep, fellow customers munch, and store workers shout to keep the lines moving. Shugawara, a postal worker, praises the quality of the Japanese convenience store's rice and notes that she visits 7-Eleven for lunch multiple times each week. So when Canadian retail giant Alimentation Couche-Tard, which owns the Circle K chain of convenience stores and gas stations, announced a proposal to buy 7-Eleven this month, she, like other fans, had some concerns. They're worried about the Japanese style of the stores. I don't know what Japanese style of the stores. It's just the contents. Yep. Now, in Japan, 7-Eleven is the largest chain of convenience stores, or konbini, as they're known locally. It has more than 21,000 locations that are heavily relied upon, both in urban areas and where kitchens are tiny, and the countryside where chains have pushed out smaller stores. And I'm going to tell you what, 7-Eleven is everywhere in Japan. And I relied on them extensively for affordable, for convenience store. They were very affordable for things there. I got food there all the time, drinks. And that's a far cry from its reputation in the United States, where they're known for their sugary Slurpees, greasy food, and as one expert puts it, places you don't want to go after dark. Well, 7-Eleven when I was a kid was the place to go to. Love 7-Eleven, but it kind of fell by the wayside at some point. We just got a 7-Eleven opened right down the road here, just about 5 kilometers away. They built it a year ago, but it couldn't open because it couldn't get a liquor license. The state is Byzantine when it comes to liquor license. Anyway, so yeah, French prosecutors have today to charge or release the Russian founder of Telegram, Pavel Durov. They must charge or release him today. His custodial period of 96 hours ends today. French prosecutors expect to charge or release CEO of the popular messaging app Telegram, Pavel Durov, after his police custody order expires today. Yep, 12 criminal violations. Now, this comes after the French couldn't co-opt him and get him to give them information they want so they could prosecute political enemies. That's what it's all about. Well, Germany's far right, the Alternative für Deutschland, AfD, is ahead in the East, in the former East Germany, the ehemaligen DDR. Yep. Now, they are talking about the dangers of alternative energy and renewable projects, saying they're expensive and they're pushing up the cost of energy, and that they're doing. In Saxony, the AfD proposes stringent measures to curb the expansion of wind energy, including a rule requiring wind turbines to be placed at a distance from residential areas equivalent to 10 times their height. I got no problem with that. Yep. So, adjusted for purchasing power and heating prices are 22% higher in the eastern part of Germany when compared to the west. Yeah, because of this green energy nonsense. Well, the Washington Times, of all places, a conservative media outlet, runs a story that's critical of Viktor Orban. Having Orban in charge of the EU's presidency raises a key question: is Hungary for or against the EU? The European Union traditionally ends its summer slumber in the dying days of August with an informal meeting of its foreign affairs ministers in a political equivalent of a fireside chat. But with Prime Minister Viktor Orban's Hungary holding the presidency of the 27-bloc nation, vacation has already been turned into one long firebrand shout. Since July 1st and right up to the end of the year, the EU's arcane rules allows Hungary, a nation of 9.5 million, to represent and often speak for the bloc of 450 million. The problem is that Orban increasingly stands for everything the EU opposes. So what about the fact that the European Union, it's not an arcane rule. So what would Ralph Kassert of the Associated Press, the Washington Times carrying the story is disappointing. This is an Associated Press leftist story. What does Ralph Kassert What objections do you have? So does he think that only the countries with big populations should have the 6-month presidency of the EU, like Germany, France? You do realize that smaller countries join because they get a voice in it. And the rotating presidency makes sense. You don't like it, you don't have to go. Unbelievable. Lawsuits are flying left and right all over the United States. Georgia, Pennsylvania, Arizona, Michigan, Wisconsin. Democrats and Republicans running lawfare to alter the results in November. Wall Street Journal reports Democrats challenging certification rules in Georgia while Republicans are targeting registration procedures in Arizona and North Carolina. Lawyers are ramping up battles over who gets to vote and how these votes are counted in the election. Yep. Election lawyers say the volume of lawsuits is unprecedented surge from previous contests, but that the last-minute litigation follows a familiar playbook. But that's not true. That's not true. Nope. Simply not true. Molly Hemingway, how the media, big tech, and Democrats seized our elections. Let me see if it tells us here the number. Looking for it here. It doesn't say. But in advance, from the time that Donald Trump got elected in 2016, he took office in 2017. From 2017 to 2020, the Democrats and their activists and their deep pocket political action committees filed 350 lawsuits across the United States. 350 lawsuits. It's detailed in here. $350 lawsuits. So this isn't unprecedented. This isn't outrageous. This isn't a new number. This is dishonest reporting by the Wall Street Journal. Shame on you. Shame on you. Well, Mark Zuckerberg admits that he colluded with the federal government to silence people in violation of the First Amendment. Exposed the extent of the Biden regime's censorship campaign to control social media. And surprise, surprise, it's not a top news story on any of the medias. They're not talking about it. They're covering for Kamala Harris. Meta CEO Mark Zuckerberg's letter to Congress calling out the Biden-Harris administration's censorship regime shows the White House officials push to control the narrative about Rona and political speech across major social platforms, including Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and Amazon. And I am still being harmed by their actions. I want a class action lawsuit against Facebook, YouTube, all of them. And I want my money. I want my money. And I also want my hundreds of thousands of subscribers that have been hidden from everyone. Well, the Harris campaign is launching another lie. And this one trying to tie Donald Trump to Project 25, which has nothing to do with Donald Trump. The Washington Post. Vice President Harris's campaign is launching a new ad campaign this week that will continue to tie Donald Trump to Project 25, an aggressive right-wing agenda touted by the former president's allies and written by several of his former administration members and appointees. As part of a major ad campaign push leading up to the first debate, campaign plans to run daily television, digital ads in battleground states warning the dangers of Project 2025. There's no dangers in Project 2025. It's a conservative agenda for America. It's ridiculously long. That's the only danger is you might fall asleep. The only danger from Project 2025 is you might fall out of your chair and injure yourself as you fall asleep reading it. That's the danger. That is the danger. Well, the U.S. military has no aircraft carriers in the Indo-Pacific region. We have no aircraft carriers from the west coast of California all the way to India. We have 11 aircraft carriers, but because of the Biden regime's cock-ups in the Middle East, we have no carriers in the region for the first time in over 2 decades. As tensions mount with China, we have no carriers. U.S. military for the first time in decades has no aircraft carrier strike groups in the Indo-Pacific region despite mounting tensions with China over disputed South China Sea islands, the Taiwan Strait, and the recent Chinese air incursion near Japan. Pentagon recently ordered the USS Abraham Lincoln to speed up its deployment from the Pacific to the Middle East, and earlier the Theodore Roosevelt, based in San Diego, was sent to the Middle East. Both warships are currently operating in the Gulf of Oman. The redeployment has left the U.S. without a carrier in the region for the first time since 2001. 2 other Pacific-based carriers, the USS Ronald Reagan and the Carl Vinson, remain docked on the West Coast. The Reagan is now in Bremerton, and the Vinson is in San Diego. We have no carrier strike group in the Pacific. Wow. But China's a threat. We have no carrier strike group. We have Japan, South Korea, Taiwan, the Philippines to defend, and we have no carrier strike group there. Wow. Well, little Timmy Harris, stolen valor, and Kamala Waltz, little Timmy Waltz, stolen valor, and Cackles Harris are going to give their first interview. And look who it is, Dana Bash. Yep, first interview since she was selected, not elected, to be the candidate for president. They're going to sit down tomorrow for the first formal interview. CNN anchor and chief political correspondent Dana Bash will conduct the interview at 9 p.m. It's the first time she's going to take questions in a concerted effort like this. It's an interview format since Joe Biden upended his race 6 weeks ago, said CNN political director David Callahan during the interview. Well, I predict it'll go very well because Dana Bash will ask all the questions and give all the answers, and all she'll have to do is, first, we're going to win. We're going to win. Yeah, U.S. energy jobs apparently are rising. Really? At double the rate of other jobs. Well, the green sector, which is getting trillions of dollars of subsidies, of course these jobs are increasing. Jobs in the clean energy industry, which isn't clean, grew at more than double the rate of the country's overall jobs. That's because we're in a recession. And employment in the green energy business, including wind, solar, nuclear, and battery storage, rose by 142,000 jobs. But jobs haven't really grown much since 2019. A judge has extended the approval to allow a transgender biological male to compete in soccer, endangering the safety of female athletes in New Hampshire. Judge extends temporary order for transgender New Hampshire girl to play high school soccer. And there she is, Parker Tyrrell, third from left. And then sixth from left is Iris Turmel. A federal judge extended a temporary order Tuesday for a transgender girl to play soccer for her high school team while considering arguments for a longer-term order and a possible trial as the teen and another student challenge a New Hampshire ban. The families of Parker Tyrrell, 15, and Iris Turmel, 14, filed a lawsuit on August 16, seeking to overturn the Fairness in Women's Sport Act that Republican Governor Chris Wyatt signed into law. While Turmel doesn't plan to play sports until December, Tyrrell successfully sought an emergency order allowing her to start soccer practice on August 19th. U.S. District Court Judge Landia McCafferty found that Tyrrell had demonstrated likely success on the merits of the case. She extended that order Thursday, and the day it was expiring for another 2 weeks. Here's the problem. It's going to find success. How? How can you argue that a biological male can compete in sport where they have a physical advantage? We saw what happened in rugby when they tried that crap in American Samoa. Well, ladies and gentlemen, there are a lot of... Hang on a second here. Let me cover this story, then I'll get to the last one. Republicans are upset that the VA has applied a law that Congress passed extending benefits to veterans. Senate Republicans blame the VA's aggressive benefit campaign for expected $15 billion shortfall. Senate Republicans blame the VA's hurried implementation of benefits program for those exposed to burn pits and toxic substances for its $15 billion shortfall. Yep, but the problem is the VA earlier this month touted a massive increase in veterans enrolling or seeking benefits and noted that since the PAC Act passed 2 years ago, 740,000 veterans have enrolled in VA health care. More veterans are also applying for VA benefits than ever before since legislation became law, with 4.4 million veterans and their family members applying in the last 2 years. Roughly 1.7 million of those claims are from veterans that meet conditions for benefits in the PACT Act. Well, I've got no benefit from it, and I was subject to those toxic substances, and I wasn't enrolled to my knowledge. Certainly received no payment for it. A fake spy, Russian oil, and a massive $1 billion funneled to Democrats. And General Wesley Clark is involved. Former business partner claims Gaurav Srivastava scammed millions by posing as a CIA operative in a photo op with Joe Biden. He dreamed of being a player in the murky world of clandestine operations, joined forces with an oil trader, former CIA agent, and veterans of the U.S. and Australian Special Forces. General Wesley Clark, a former NATO commander, served as a paid consult advisor. He donated more than $1 million to Democrats, scored a photo op with Biden, and met lawmakers from both parties. He even had a star-studded event he attended with prestigious Atlantic Council featuring the singer John Legend. A green card-carrying Indian businessman in his early 30s who suckered them all, including Wesley Clark, who helped this guy get street cred, and then he stole tens of millions. There's General Wesley Clark. He stole not General Clark, but this guy stole tens of millions of dollars from his business partner. Yeah. Anyway, there you have it. Wow, we went under 100 viewers. What's going on there? All right, folks, let me take a look over and see what's going on with that video with Gabriel Crouse, if anybody's watched it. Well, a few people watched it. We're up to 512 views. Let me read some of the comments from it. Oh, somebody says the whole thing speaks volumes about Gabriel's character more than it does about Rahman. The something inter was the lowest level of propaganda I've ever seen. South Africa has stooped to an all-time low with subjective biases masquerading as educated, factual, and objective journalism. Yep. Chasing media exposure cost. Okay. Perhaps Gabriel Crouse should visit Iranian before commenting on the place. Oops, cancel. That's not what I was trying to do. Comment. What else we got here? In the poo again, says Dylan. Yeah, it's in the poo again, man. Definitely in the poo again. All right, well, it's actually 974 views. So it's just 700 just in the last hour. So cool. After I post it. Tian says thanks for the topics. Icano does it all the time. It's a massive difference between men and women. It comes, yeah, that's true. When it comes to sport, there's a huge difference, folks. Huge difference. Yep. Petra came in late. Where you been there, Petra? The Democrats keep referring to 2026 or 2025 proposals as something akin to the Black Grimoire. Well, they're just full of it. It's just a long thing to read. Hi, Galloping Granny. American politics floors me. Is that what you want to say? I understand our nonsense, but not yours. Well, thank you, Galloping Granny. I think you meant to say floor. Yeah, it's crazy. It is crazy. But it didn't used to be this way. Christopher Lee. I remember him. He's an actor. I had Easter eggs, Light Rain. I took them down. Nobody was noticing my Easter eggs, so I took them down. What cringe interview? AC Group in Japan. Huh? What's that? What's Croaktoby got saying? Yeah, you're a little bit late. Sorry, folks. Didn't get enough sleep again. Ooh, not getting enough sleep. Yeah, so like I said, the Ronaldo video looks like it's petered out. And just got over 9,000 views to it. So we'll see if it picks up. It's interesting because no one's reported on this. Let me see if there's any news now. I'll do Ronaldo Hose. Let's see if there's anyone reporting on what's happened. So news, let's see. June, 4 days ago. Nope, no one is reporting, no media is reporting that he has been vindicated by the press. Let me read this. Politics Web. What's this? Oh, you got to pay to watch this. So I don't know what this David Bullard is trying to say. Let me see if I can find it somewhere else. If this guy's got this article somewhere else, because this Politics Web wants me to sign in. Who's that from? It's a company in South Africa. Never heard of it. Paste. South African columnist. British-born, South African naturalized columnist. No image available. Oh, stuff is just a long time ago. Screw it. Let's do lunch. Huh. Don't know these things. Oh, Nick is giving out memberships. Served today by a waiter here in Vienna with relatives in Montague. Thank you for that. Great borders are. Okay, we saw that. Stop publishing that stuff, man. Stop posting that stuff. All right. Mike, there's your membership. Mike B. And you got Gordon, Alan Fredericks, Defender Def, and William Peters. Wow. Nick is giving out those memberships again. Gordon, congratulations. That does sound fun. It's down the Sussex Downs. What are you talking about, Flushing? Okay. Anyway. All right. So how are we doing over here? Let's take a look and see. Oh, a lot of people disappeared. Alan Fredericks. Thank you. Wow, we're just dropping off the what's going on here, YouTube? We're just falling off a cliff. Viewership from 100 just dropped to 78 like that. What's going on? Defender Def. And then we got one more for William Peters. All right. Let's get that one up here. 117 likes. Thanks for that. A little bit of super chat revenue. Do appreciate that. Eric and another super chat came in. William Peters, thank you. Dinner time. Yeah, maybe that's what it is. All right. So with that, it is 7:30 South Africa. Time to wrap up here, folks. Thanks for being here. Please go watch my video on my analysis of the Gabriel Crouse op-ed. Okay, if you'd like. Appreciate that. And leave a comment if you want. Certainly give us a like. Cheers, everybody. Have a good night. Take care. How can you get a Cape paper? You can buy it, Nakano. Nick just gave 5 more, so I can't go anywhere. You can buy a membership on your own. It's only a couple rand a month. Or, you get gifted one. So when people buy memberships, gift membership for people, that's what's happening here. So Bobby B. Matt Canale gets another one. Cool. Sam Watt is going to get one here. Cool. Brendan Hannock. Okay, cool. And Arbot. Oh, Arbot got one. Cool. There's Brendan. So Nick is giving out 10 memberships. I need him to stop there. Very lucky to give out free memberships. In case Matthew gets another free one. Yeah, Matthew's got plenty of free ones. Matt Canale, our Super Brew chooser extraordinaire. By the way, the Super Brew poll is... there's Arbot. Super Brew URC poll is up again. I've put it up on Super Brew if you want to join there. We'll put the link out tomorrow. Just remind me. Oops, what was that? Sam Watt. Sorry, Sam. Almost missed you there. All right. Cool beans. Yeah, congratulations, everybody. Got a free month of membership courtesy of Nick Groves. That's it, folks. I'm out of here. Y'all take care. All right. Cheers, 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 cheers. Be safe. I'm going to change my online name to Matt. Well, change. Yeah, Matt Canale, Matt Dixon. I think that's what you need to do. Cheers, everybody. Take care.